Hey, this is Mr. Gareth Gates here and welcome to my YouTube channel. Now I'm often asked what I eat in order to stay in shape. Oh, put it away, mate. So I've decided to vlog a full day's worth of eating in order to show you a bit of an insight into what I do, and if that can help you in any way, then brilliant. First things first, big disclaimer alert. I am certainly not a nutritionalist, I'm not a chef, sometimes I like to think I am, but not winning MasterChef certainly clarified that. I certainly have a habit of losing TV shows, eh?
Will!
Okay, so first things first, I'm going to don my cooking apron, which is from my beautiful daughter Missy, and it says, Daddy, Super Chef. She knows. She knows. Okay, so first things first, the first meal of the day is breakfast. We've been sleeping all evening, we need to wake up and fuel our bodies with everything that we need to tackle the day ahead. So what better recipe to throw over to you guys than delicious, fluffy, protein pancakes. Okay, so let's take a look at our ingredients in order to make these delicious, fluffy protein pancakes. So the base of our pancakes, we're going to be using rolled oats, about 75 grams of these, a banana, 3 large eggs, and protein powder. I'm going to be using vanilla, and I use diet whey. Obviously slightly less carbs that way, as we've got plenty of carbs in there. We're going to be using some ground cinnamon and baking powder in order to get those pancakes nice and fluffy, and a little dash of milk. I'm going to use almond milk, again a healthier alternative. I'm going to be using coconut oil as the oil that's used in the pan, and to garnish I've got some delicious blueberries, wow, and strawberries as well, purely to get our vitamins in and those healthy natural sugars. Okay, so those are our ingredients. Now we're going to whack them all into a blender, mix them up, and then whack it straight onto the griddle to make these delicious, fluffy protein pancakes. So first things first, whack the oats in, then the protein powder, and then the 3 large eggs. Go. Apply 2 tablespoons of milk. I use almond milk, kind of slightly healthier, and then 1 tablespoon of baking powder, a pinch of cinnamon, and finally your banana. So smash the lid on, small shake, and then blitz it with a blender for approximately 1 minute. Because after the mixture is mixed together and you've got that lovely nice consistency, switch your pan on. Oh, so after that's blended, you have to check that the consistency is nice and smooth, and then apply a little bit of coconut oil to your pan or your griddle. I use coconut oil as opposed to kind of any other oils, it's just slightly healthier. That's it. Then what we're doing is just actually applying this onto the griddle. Now often I like to leave the pancakes for approximately 2 minutes on each side, or until we start to see these bubbles appear on the surface, to which then we actually know that the pancake is ready to flip. Go. Look at that lovely golden brown, which is exactly what we want it. Now I'm not sure about you, but I love my pancakes stacked, just like you have them when you're over in the States. And so I'm actually going to start this first stack. There we go, onto the plate. Then if you need a little bit more oil, only a smidge of oil, you don't want to kind of have too much as there's a lot of fat in all oils. And then onto the next one. Number 2. Okay, now this is the last pancake of the stack. We've got a right stack going on there. How many have we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Now this recipe is able to make up to 8. I like mine nice and chunky though and thick, and so it's perfect now for either sharing with your other half who's filming for me, or on your own if you have a big appetite, or with your family or friends. It's a perfect dish. Okay, next up is lunch, and I'm going to be doing for you my take on the great British classic fish and chips. Now I'm going to be calling this a fakeaway because it's not exactly what you get from the takeaway chippy, where the fish is wrapped in that beautiful golden brown crispy batter and the chips are swimming in oil. It's a slightly healthier version, which means you can have it a bit more often, and in my opinion tastes equally as good. Okay, so here are the ingredients we're going to be using for today's fish and chips. We've got some potatoes here. I've chosen Maris Piper, but that's just a personal preference. Up to you which potatoes you use. I've got 2 beautiful cod loins here. I'm going to whack in the oven with some lemon just to flavour the fish a little bit and keep it nice and moist. You can't have fish and chips without mushy peas, in my opinion, so I'm going to be making my own version of mushy peas along with my own mint sauce. I've got some fresh mint leaves here with some vinegar that I found in the back of the cupboard, fry light for the potatoes, and that is pretty much it. Okay, so first things first, we're going to chop our potatoes. Now I often like to make my food look aesthetically pleasing, just like you're in a Michelin star restaurant, and so I'm going to be chopping my potatoes into little rectangle shapes in order to position them nicely on the plate, and so it won't only taste good, it'll look good too. Any offcuts, I'll also be cooking them as well. I hate waste, and so we'll be having them on the side, but it doesn't spoil the look of the dish. So we've chopped the chips and now we're going to cook them. Obviously they take the longest. I'm going to use an air fryer in order to cook my chips. If you haven't got an air fryer, I highly recommend them. When you cook chips in the oven, you often have to drown them in oil in order to get that nice crisp texture on the outside. With an air fryer, it just requires a couple of sprays of fry light and you achieve the exact same effect without having to use all the oil. So again, it's a kind of slightly healthier version. Perfect if you want to stay in shape or if you want to live that healthier lifestyle. Now I'm going to be cooking these on about 200 degrees and for approximately 20 minutes. So when I'm doing my fish, I like to use some tin foil. So we just put these lovely pieces of cod into the tin foil. We then chop up some lemon. Whack the lemon in with the cod. Then we're going to make like a little boat, little parcel. And wrap it up like this. And then on the ends, just kind of scrunch up, make like a little pirate ship. There we go. And that's one done. And then on to the next. Then if you put these fish parcels into a baking tray and pop them in the oven for 12 to 15 minutes at about 200. So the chips are in the air fryer, the fish is prepared and in the oven. Next is onto the mushy peas. Now I love peas, first and foremost because they're a vegetable, got lots of nutrients in there, lots of goodness in there, but also because there's lots of protein in peas. So we're gonna make our version of mushy peas. They won't be exactly like the ones that you get in the fish and chip shop, but we're gonna put them in a blender, blitz them up, and try and get them as close to mushy peas as we can. Okay, so whilst the peas are on, we're going to make our homemade mint sauce. First thing you have to do is obviously take the leaves off the stalks. And then we're going to finely chop these leaves. After you've finished chopping, throw them into a bowl. And next we're going to add some vinegar into the mint. I like my mint sauce quite sharp, so I'll put plenty of vinegar in. And stir that. Maybe a splash more vinegar. And it's as easy as that, homemade mint sauce. So the peas are done, they're nicely cooked. We're now going to put them into a NutriBullet or some kind of blender and blitz them. Now sometimes I add a little bit of milk, in my case almond milk, only a smidge though, you don't want to get them too runny, just to help with the consistency and just to really get them nice and mushy. Now I just find that a couple of blasts is enough. You don't want to make pea puree, you want mushy peas. What I do then is bring in the mint sauce and add the peas into the mint sauce. I then season the mushy peas with a little bit of salt and pepper, and then just give them a good old stir. Okay, so now it's time to plate up. Okay, next up is dinner time. Favourite time of day for me, and this meal is a delicious beef satay dish. I'm a massive fan of Asian food, spent a lot of time out there with my music over the years, and as a result of that, Asian cuisine is actually one of my favourite of all the cuisines. But I have to give a name check for this particular dish to the Daily Dish. They're great at providing us with kind of healthier alternatives to those meals that often have too much sugar or too much fat, and this is actually one of their recipes. I love this dish as with the vegetables especially, you don't necessarily feel like you have to have those heavy carbs like rice or potatoes, and that's why it's perfect for an evening meal. Okay, so what we got in terms of ingredients, we've got 2 beautiful beef sirloin steaks, we've got some tender stem broccoli, which I love, some green beans. I mean, that alone is a delicious meal for me. Then if we move on to the sauce, we've got this thing here, which is a curry sauce mix. It's from places like Home Bargains or B&M. Fry Live, which I prefer to use over anything else actually. This is the main ingredient in this dish, Diet Coke. Obviously provides the sweetness without having to use actually real sugar. Ginger puree, chili flakes, paprika, garlic granules, peanut butter, oh, get in my belly, dark soy sauce and Worcester sauce, and that is the ingredients for this delicious meal we're about to make. Okay, let's get started. First things first, we're going to cook the vegetables. Now, obviously use your fry light in the pan, a few sprays of that, whack in the green beans, and then with the broccoli, I like to kind of half these, just with a pair of scissors. Once your vegetables are in the pan, add 2 tablespoons of dark soy sauce. What a tosser. Go into a separate bowl without making a mess. And now we're actually going to make the beautiful satay sauce in the exact same pan. Okay, so first thing in the pan is a whole can of Diet Coke. I love peanut butter so much. However, it can be very, very fatty. So either use 1 to 2 tablespoons of this. I'm going to use 1, just purely as it's very very fatty. Next up is 1 to 2 tablespoons of this delicious curry powder. I'm going to put 2 into these. Next up is a teaspoon of garlic granules, a teaspoon of paprika, and then it's all about the chili flakes. So just a little bit of them in, all the while keeping it nice and fluid. Ginger puree, half a teaspoon of this. Actually, mine's brand new, brilliant. I should have prepped this. Actually, like a little squirt in, there we go. Worcester sauce, maybe 3 to 4 drops of this, or 6. And that thick, creamy satay sauce really starts to form now. Right, so the satay sauce is simmering away there. Alliteration, me, stammer. We've got the delicious vegetables waiting in the wings. Next thing is the beef. So obviously use a bit of fry light. Promise I'm not sponsored by them. Like a few squirts of that in the pan, hot pan, and then we're actually going to add this delicious sirloin steak into it. Now I use scissors in order to get rid of fat. I hate the fat on my beef, and it's extra fat that we don't need in our systems. And you can actually chop them into strips. Obviously avoiding the fat, and if I can whack off that fat right now, I will do. It's out of the way, it's out of our lives. It's out of my life. So that delicious beef is in the pan, it's sizzling away, as is this satay sauce. And now what we're going to do is we're actually going to add the vegetables back into the sauce. I'm massively OCD and everything has to be nice and clean, so I always wash down after. Now I'm all about presentation when it comes to food, everything has to look pretty. However, with this dish, I think just whack it all in the same pan, purely because those flavours in the sauce, you want it all of the beef as well as the veg. And so that's exactly what I'm going to do. And that's us completely done. So we just whack some in a beautiful bowl. Messy but delicious. And that's it. That's pretty much a full day's eating for me. If you enjoyed this vlog, please come back, as I'll be posting lots more fitness related and nutrition related content for you guys to see. Until then, I'll see you soon.